problem is the fact that people are falling behind in their results. They're falling behind with where they want to be. They're getting to 40 years old and they're realizing they're not on track for retirement. They're hitting 50 years old and they're not on track for retirement. They're almost at 60 and they're feeling hopeless and they don't feel like there's a chance in the world that they're going to be able to retire, maintain their standard of living, and now they're scared. And what I call this, because like I'm not even kidding, when I say 4 times faster, that's about a decade that you can reach financial freedom in. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow Hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, I want to talk to you. You know what? I'm going to talk to all of my life insurance agents out there, and I want to talk to you about how to sell more life insurance. Now, if you're not a life insurance agent, I think this video is still going to be completely relevant for you, because a lot of the questions that I'm going to be asking and getting agents to think about in this video in regards to how to sell more life insurance are also reasons that you should be asking yourself as to why you should even want life insurance. So here's where I want to start with this. As a life insurance agent, I think it's really important to focus on the fact that you are not just a life insurance agent. I know a lot of agents are working for career companies, meaning like New York Life's, Northwestern Mutuals, they have a career contract. And there are a lot of independent agents out there as well that operate on a 1099 basis, and they have access to independent channels and all sorts of different companies. And independent agents typically run their business more like an entrepreneur. Or you have to, or you should, if you're not, that you absolutely should. One of the things I always tell agents, you need to be running your practice, your insurance practice, like an entrepreneur. And the reason I say that is I don't care if you're a career agent on a W-2 or a statutory W-2 basis with a life insurance company, or if you are a 1099 independent agent. If you're not thinking like an entrepreneur, you're missing the boat. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that entrepreneurs do one thing and one thing alone. They identify problems and they create solutions for problems, right? So with that said, what I can tell you is that you have to get really, really clear on what your why is as an agent, as an entrepreneur. You got to get really clear on what problem it is or problems it is that you solve, right? For me, when I first got into this business, it was I help people become more efficient with their money. And, I realized that, there was a lot of power with middle America, with the fact that most people were feeling overwhelmed and stressed about the fact that they didn't have enough money. They were feeling like they were losing control, or they didn't have control of the results in their financial life simply because they didn't understand all the moving parts. And a lot of them were focused on the wrong things. They were thinking about, how do I invest more? How do I get better returns? All the things that Wall Street wants you to think about. But the bottom line is, what's really more important for them is financial structure, setting themselves up to manage debt and eliminate the unnecessary losses in their life by increasing the efficiency in their life. And if you could do that, then you could help them get where they wanted to go with less risk. And I was having that conversation day in, day out with, dozens and dozens of people a week. And when you do that, what I was able to do is, in those conversations, I was able to identify, common threads, commonalities that every single one of them had with each other. And then as I had more and more conversations, you get better and better and better. One of the things that I believe about what we do in the life insurance space is that it's really important, right? Like, most people don't understand how important what we do is. Like, what your role as a life insurance agent is absolutely pivotal in your clients' lives. Now, you have to get them to trust you and believe that is the truth. But the thing is, you have to show up and make sure that you're not just being a salesperson about it, and that you're not just being, in this for you. It really has to be about your client. So it's easy to say that, right? Like, it's easy to say, well, this has got to be about the client, not you. And a lot of people say, oh, well, yeah, that's me. I'm all about my clients. And listen, I know that you probably feel that way, and maybe it's the truth. But the bottom line is, if your client doesn't believe it, perception is reality. And so what's the easiest way to get them to believe it, to get them to know it, right? And this has to come from a real place of authenticity. The only way to do that is to be really passionate about your why, about the problem that you solve, right? Because now the biggest mistake life insurance agents make is they go around And people say, what do you do? Well, I sell life insurance. Ugh, I'm going to run the other way. Or, or they give a generic statement that gives this wide sweeping net of who you can serve, right? Not good. It's not going to get you where you want to go. It's not going to get a positive response because a jack of all trades, master of none, nobody really wants to work with that person with their money. However, if you are really passionate about helping people with debt, with being more efficient with their debt, if you're like me, I wrote my book, Cash Flow Hacking. I'm really passionate about getting people, helping them reach financial freedom in about a decade, right? Like I love that because I know for a fact that the financial industry has been lying to us, right? Like you look around, look at the results at the world, the greatest financial failed experiment of all time is a 401k and qualified plans, because look at the results since they've been implemented, right? I know that these are the case. I'm passionate about these. When I talk about them, people know it's true because I'm a total geek about this stuff. And this is what I do during my free time at 9 o'clock at night is I write new books and I read articles, and that's just, I live this stuff, right? And people, it comes out of me and they can sense my passion about it because I love it. Now, when it comes to it and I say, well, what do? I help people reach financial freedom in about a decade by helping them learn how to invest for cash flow. How do you do that? And we get into this whole different thing. And by the time we get into it, what I've done though, is I've identified the needs. I've identified the challenge, the problem, and what the whole cash flow hacking, what this does, this is the solution, right? This is the solution. This is not the problem. The problem is the fact that people are falling behind in their results. They're falling behind with where they want to be. They're getting to 40 years old and they're realizing they're not on track for retirement. They're hitting 50 years old and they're not on track for retirement. They're almost at 60 and they're feeling hopeless, and they don't feel like there's a chance in the world that they're going to be able to retire, maintain their standard of living, and now they're scared. And what I call this, because I'm not even kidding, when I say 4 times faster, that's about a decade that you can reach financial freedom in, right? And that's not smoke and mirrors. That is, if you invest for cash flow and you dedicate to operating more efficiently and investing in the right cash flow assets, you can absolutely do that. I know that. I'm passionate about that. People know that and believe it by the time I'm done with them, and I can articulate it, and I've mastered this one thing. And because it's my why is helping people reach financial freedom, right? Because that's my why and people know it, then I've gone in and I've mastered the solution, and I can talk circles around anybody because I know the numbers inside out, upside down, and no matter who I talk to, this is what I'm talking about. And so when I talk about what I'm doing, this is why I know whole life insurance is the answer to the problem. And it's so outside of the realm of normalcy for most people to be hearing life insurance as an asset, especially whole life insurance as an asset. And people start bringing up index universal life and all these different things. And in the context, are there places for that? Yes. But when it comes to trying to reach financial freedom in 10 years or less, it doesn't do the job. It can't do the job. And there's too much risk. I don't want to put my risk inside of a life insurance policy. So, what I do is I go around and I identify the problem. I articulate a solution. The problem is people are behind the 8 ball. They've lost hope. And now I know that even when I talk to a 55-year-old that only has $100,000 saved, that we can get them by the time they're 65 to 67, we can make sure they're going to be in a good place where they're going to be free. They're going to hit their freedom number. They're going to be in control of their financial destiny, and they're going to be financially independent and control and hold the keys to their financial life, right? I don't know if you see the power in that, but to be able to bail somebody out, to be able to be a solution for people, for Americans that are 50 and older, where the majority of them are not on pace. I don't call this anywhere in here. It's something I came up with after the fact, funnily. But the retirement rescue plan, because of the fact that most people are behind, and it's a chance for them to get ahead. It's a chance for them to regain control of their financial life, and that's the problem I solve. So what you need to do is you need to be able to figure out, what is your why? What is the problem that you solve? If you sell Medicare insurance, what's your why? It can't just be a commoditized thing, because then you're no different than anybody else. You have to make sure that you're able to communicate what makes you different, why you do what you do, who you help, why you help them, the problem that they have, and the fact that you have a solution to their problem. Remember, you're an entrepreneur. Identify problems, articulate solutions. And if you can do that effectively and you can master that conversation and you're passionate about it, they're going to be able to see that. It's going to come across authentically. It's going to build trust, and they're going to want to work with you. Even though it comes across as, kind of cliche at this point in time to say, like, start with why. Simon Sinek has done a great job, like really pushing that motto and that mission. Understanding your why is not about them. It's about you. It's not about your clients. It's about you. And the reason I say that is because when you understand your why, you're going to understand more clearly what problems you want to solve. That's going to allow you to be more passionate. It's going to allow you to be more authentic. It's going to allow you to show up more differently. And it's going to allow you to have more clarity on who you serve. And if you know who you serve, you can go out there and have a much more dynamic, engaged, realistic conversation with them that they're going to respond better to, right? Like, you're not going to be coming across with this generic stuff. So anyway, here's the bottom line. What I just talked about is the concept for all sales. Like, if you're a mortgage broker, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a life insurance agent, if you're a financial advisor, if you deal with alternative investments, if you sell microchips, if you sell anything, it's all identify challenges, articulate solutions. If you're looking for a job and you're going into a company, your job is to identify challenges in that company and articulate the solutions that you bring to the table, right? This is an overriding principle that I feel like people just miss. And if you just land this idea in your head and you execute and you practice it, a big thing that I was told at the beginning of my sales career is that if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it. So, like, getting this down is going to take a little work. It's going to take a little practice. It's going to take failing. It's going to take being bad at it. But you just got to go out. You got to be real with yourself. You got to connect with something that you're passionate about. And if you're not passionate about it, I promise you, don't just get into a company that you're selling final expense and you're just getting paid, you're getting leads. If you're into that and you love what you do and you love the people you help and you love the problems that you're solving for them, and that's what fires you up and makes you passionate, God bless you. That is amazing. Go out and crush it. And I promise you, the people that are in that business and doing it and crushing it, that's how they feel about it. So, they are the ones that align with that. The problem is other people come behind them and they don't share that passion and they wonder, why can't I repeat what this guy did or what this gal did, right? Like, the reason they can't repeat it is because they don't have that same passion. They don't have that inside them and people aren't resonating with it. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, any comments, comment in the comment section below. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the bell. That way you get notified every single time I launch a new video. And until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.